Well, it's Wednesday evening, and this is your brother Dana coming to you again from the city of Chicago. Hello to all of you out there in this great big world of social media. I want to say a special hello and a shout to the precious chosen people of the Most High Yah, or also known as our African Americans and our Black brothers and sisters. Be encouraged because you know what season is. Yes, I hope you do. One of the things that I wanted to share that marvels me, and it's not that I didn't already know this in my spirit, and obviously through the years with my own eyes and ears, but with all of this protesting, I'm not talking about the rioting and the looting, but I'm talking about the peaceful protesting that had been taking place across this nation after we've murdered another innocent black man, George Floyd. Um, One of the things that I um, have spent a few days now going through the internet to make sure that I'm not sharing something that I might have missed, is what I'm going to talk to you about tonight. And that is, for all growing up, the two things that my white evangelical Christian family really held high to as a standard of who they would vote for, maybe a church where they would attend, would be their stance on abortion and homosexuality. They were always pro-life, anti-abortion, and they've always been anti-homosexual. But tonight I want to talk to you about what I have always said, especially in these last years, that white evangelical America is not pro-life. They are only anti-abortion. And I really will show you tonight how I have come up with that. And so the first thing I wanted to show you is what you're seeing here in this picture. Jesus loves everyone, love like Jesus. Um, and you know, as you, my black brothers and sisters, or you, the true Hebrews, you are very well aware that now that color is becoming something that white evangelical America needs to take responsibility for. They want to jump into this boat saying, well, it doesn't matter, we're all God's people. And you will hear me say over and over again, but yet it was you, white evangelicals, and the KKK, and your white supreme system here in the United States of America that created the white only, black only drinking fountains and all the other black and white distinctions in the 40s, 50s, 60s. So there is a distinction in your eyes, and I'll say this over and over. I don't care what you think God sees, because we're not talking about what God sees, because obviously if you saw what God saw, you would not be where you are supporting Trump and having the hatred of white supremacy that's in your heart. So let's not talk about, what God knows. The problem is what you don't know. And part of what you don't know is that our black brothers and sisters are God's true chosen people. And if you knew that, you would change the way that you see color. And one of the proofs that I have that you see color when it comes to your stance when you say that Christianity is pro-life, I'm going to show you some things to prove, well then, if you're pro-life, where the hell are you? Where have you been? I don't see you. And so what does Christianity, first of all, let's determine what Christianity means when it says life. For Christians, human life is a sacred and is a gift from God, which is to be respected and protected. So already we can end right there and find them guilty that they are not pro-life. If they were pro-life, they would not be silent. And let me say why. Let me show you the pictures. I've gone all over the internet. And so these are just a couple of pictures that I found that are showing all kinds of signs. And as I looked through this, even blowing it way up, I never ever found any signs in any of the pictures that I have been looking at to look like what the signs are on the day of the World March, or when they march for pro-life to fight abortion. And so I don't know about you, if this organization and if Christianity is really pro-life, then where are these individuals, where are these signs in the protesting for a black man whose life was taken from him? I mean, even here you have a Christendom, Crusaders for Life. Well, where are you in this marching for life? And in these signs, life is precious, life is precious. Then where are you with your signs declaring life is precious? Because I believe there's a distinction in life that you consider as precious based on the color of the skin of the person who was murdered. But yet in your, and I'm going to go back to this now, in your writing of what you, it's called the sanctity of life. And I'm going to read what you write and show you that you do not follow what you say when you're pro-life. You are simply anti-abortion. So the sanctity of life is that Christians believe that all life is created by God and is therefore unique and sacred. I can stop right there and say, well, where are you? If the life of George Floyd or the life of a black person was both unique in God and sacred, you have not been anywhere in all of these murders throughout all of these years commanding and standing and protesting against a government or police officers that are not living up to your belief of what you call the sanctity of life. This belief is known as the sanctity of life. Christians also believe that humans were made in the image of God. And because of this, they believe that all human life should be valued and protected. And yet you witnessed a life that was not protected, but a life that was, even after his pulse was no longer felt, the man and the officers around him continued to allow him to keep his knee on his neck and his airway for another 2.5 minutes. I guess he wanted to seal the deal that this man would never rise again with breath. And because you say that you believe that all human life should be valued and protected, Christians then believe that every attempt should be made to look after all human life. Where are you? Where are you looking after all of these innocent lives of my black brothers and sisters that are being killed, that are being destroyed and murdered? Christians believe that only God should create life and God should take it away. Is that true only for whites? So if you're pro-life, where are your pro-life signs? Where are your sanctity of life statements out here and about? Because this all comes from before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to name the nations, saying that to Jeremiah. And so from that verse, you're saying even before that heartbeat begins at conception, they are a human being and they need to be protected. But obviously you don't mean that for your black brothers and sisters. You also said in one of them that God saw all that he had made and it was very good, and there was evening and there was morning and there was the sixth day. Christians believe that only God should choose when life begins and when life ends. So are you really pro-life? Or are you just anti-abortion? Or are you pro-life for white babies and white lives only? Because obviously through your actions and your behavior, all the way up to this recent killing and murder and lynching of George Floyd, I don't see anything that I see here on the screen protesting against evil that snuffed out the breath of a man that was created in the image of God. And actually, before even you and I were, because he was one of God's chosen people, one of his Hebrews, who is related to his ancestors that at one time were also killed and enslaved in the hands of the Egyptians. And so white America, white evangelical America, go back and read what God did to the Egyptians that refused to recognize that their life is very sacred. This is Brother Dana coming to you from the city of Chicago.